Welcome back to another book recap video. These 2 months I've read quite a lot of books and it has been such a good reading period for me. I've read so many different books, most of them that are very popular on the internet. I see them all over social media, booktok, booktube. So many people recommend it and also so many people talk about it, and I've been dying to try to read them and see whether do I like them. So I separate two piles of books. One pile that are popular books that definitely deserve the hype, that I absolutely enjoy them, and another pile of books that are popular books but I do have unpopular opinions about them that we just don't really work out. But I do hope the best for them to find someone who appreciates them, but it's just definitely not my type. So yeah, it was such a good reading month and I've been dying for you guys to read some of my book recommendations for this month. So let's begin. The first book that I'm gonna talk about is All the Lovers and the Night by Miyako Kawakami. I read this on Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy of it, but I've seen her books all over Instagram. Like I saw a collection of her books like Aiken Breast or the other two of them, but then I decided to try this one because I feel like the vibes are just for me. So basically this book is about a Japanese woman who is having an existential crisis, who doesn't really know her position in Japanese society, and also her struggle to form a new relationship with herself and also with others. This book is not really a romance or novels. It does talk about like her finding a new romantic relationship with others, but mostly it's about finding a new relationship with herself. So if you're struggling with your life, you don't know, you feel kind of lost in your life, you can definitely relate it to this book. And it just gives you a sad girl vibes, but it's not depressed, but it kind of talks the way about how to find yourself in a society that are very overwhelmed for you. I love this book a lot, and I just love the vibes of it. It doesn't really have a lot of plot, and I exceptionally love how the contracts that the author brings between the two main characters, the two main woman character, who is Fuyuko's and also one of her editors. You can see the very strong contracts between two characters, and sometimes you can relate to that. It's most of us wanted to be that successful, glamorous editor, but deep inside we always found ourselves very relatable to Fuyuko's, which we sometimes can sense the loneliness in our heart. So I absolutely love this book, and this book is like perfect for a night reading, and also like it gives you the vibes of dancing in the rain. That's how I would describe this book as. Even the first page, when the author describes what night is, it's just so beautiful. And it starts really strong. Is that why does the night have to be so beautiful? Because at night only half of the world remains. And this just hit me, and it's the perfect book for you to read at a cozy night. Make yourself a cup of tea, listen to the sound of rainfall, and just enjoy this book. I do loved it, and I definitely think it's worth the hype. And I can't wait to read other books by this author as well. And yeah. The second book that I've read of these 2 months is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabriella Zavind. This book, I guess it's not really a new book. It has been out for years, I guess. But I've seen them all over the internet for the past years, and so many people talk about it, and it has been on my TBR list for so long, and I finally got this version because I just love the designs of this edition. It's just so cool. I'm not sure can you see, but like the pages can show the main characters. It's that Sam plus Sadie, which is the two main characters, and I absolutely loved it. It's so good. So basically this book is surrounded with like gaming elements in it. It's about people who create video games, it's about people who play video games, it's also about the concepts of video games. But you don't have to be a gamer to understand this book. I personally don't play any video games, but you can still relate it to this book 100%. I found this concept really refreshing, and I do enjoy the concept of using video games. So this book is about Sam and Sadie. It is not a romance, but this is about love. So it says, when Sam catches sight of Sadie at a crowded train station, one morning he's captivated straight back to childhood and the hours they spent immersed in playing games. The spark is instantly reignited and set off a creative collaboration that will make them superstars. It is the 90s and anything is possible. What comes next is a decade-long tale of friendship and rivalry, fame and art, betrayal and tragedy. And above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. So this is about like two characters. They basically created video games together. What I love about this book is the contrast it brings about virtual world and reality. It's like when you're playing a video games, people are obsessed with it. It's because you have endless possibilities. It's an escape to your reality. But at the same time, in real life, you don't really get that unlimited trials. Once you failed, it's probably the consequences will be there. It's hard to go back and redo it again. So it's the concept about having endless possibilities and also what we call fate in reality, something that you cannot be undone. But at the same time, life is also filled with so many possibilities. So it's very fascinating. I love the idea of that, and also I loved how the characters' chemistry. It's not about romance. Their relationship is based on love, but in a friendship way. And they have such a strong chemistry that you can definitely feel it in the books. It's even way stronger than any romantic novels I've ever read before. So this is such a refreshing book, a very fresh concept to me that I absolutely enjoy it, and I feel like you should read it as well. It's not like any other story that I've read before. So this is also a really good one for me this month, and I absolutely loved it. Okay, the third book that I read, I have seen this cover everywhere in the bookstores and Waterstone, even on poster when I'm at the tube, and I decided to give it a try, and it's called The Bee Sting by OVERRATED. This is a very thick ass book, so it took me quite some time to finish it, but I don't regret it because it's such a captivating story. This book is about like a family that is having like a kind of traumatic family, a problematic family. Each family member has his own secrets and history that kind of affect the present life that they are having now. So it follows about a mother, a father, and a daughter and sons. So each chapter, it's kind of like writing from their perspectives. So we're starting off with their kids, the daughter, and also the son, and then gradually we know the storyline through their parents' perspective. Ooh, the plot is so good. I would say it's one of the, how do I say it? It's kind of like a mystery book to me because you don't really know what happened in the past. So gradually, if you finished almost till the end, you kind of understand what's going on with this family. And also, the narrative style of this book is very special. Each chapter is dedicated to different characters, like the family members. You can tell the narrative styles is so different as well, which is kind of hard to do as an author because you really have to write in a very distinctive way regarding your characters. So, and the book is called The Bee Sting. Basically, the whole story kind of revolves around the idea of a bee. It isn't directly related to what's happening with a bee, but it's related to the concept of a bee sting. So if you know when a bee sting somebody, it's because they feel like they are in danger, they have to protect the family. But once they sting a human, it's very easy for them to pass away. Like they will die instantly when they pull out the sting. It's really hard to tell you what this book is about without giving you any spoilers. This book is really good. It has so many foreshadowing, and you will gradually see the hints that the author have been laying down chapters and chapters once you reach the ending. And I heard so many unpopular opinions about the ending. Some people are so mad about how the book ends, but personally, I do enjoy the ending, and I feel like if you pay attention to the details of the books, understand the foreshadowing that the author has been put in chapters and chapters, you will find the ending kind of makes sense, and I wouldn't change the endings at all, and I will keep it that way because the ending is just whoa to me. It's just mind-blowing to me when I reach the endings. I remember when I finished this book, I literally put it down and walk around my room and just think about the ending. It's such a good book, remarkable writing, but I would say it's a bit heavy reading for me because the writing style is a bit hard to digest and there's just too much information going on. You have to really think about the plots that happen in this book. But in general, I feel like it's so captivating. It doesn't feel like this long at all. And it's just a very remarkable story. And I really wanted to discuss this book with somebody who has read it. So please, if you have read it, or after you have read it, please let me know how do you think about this book, especially about the ending. Why does it end in this way? Okay, moving on to another popular book I've read this month, which is called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I feel like people have been talking about these days, especially because they have recently made it into a TV series. I haven't watched the TV series yet because I wanted to finish the book. So everyone in Fairview knows the story. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend Sal Saint, who then killed himself. It was all everyone could talk about. And 5 years later, Pete, the main character, sees how the tragedy still haunts her town, but she can't shake the feeling that there was more to what happened that day. He saw when she was a child, and he was always so kind to her. How could he possibly have been a killer? Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project, at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent. And the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. I personally do enjoy it quite a lot. A lot of people have been talking about the writing style is not good, but I don't feel like it's bad at all. It's just the style of this book tends to be YA, so you cannot compare the writing style with like The Bee Sting. It's like two different genres of books. But the one thing that I'm very skeptical about before reading this book is because it's about a young teenage girl trying to solve a murder crime. So I was a bit scared that the plot might be a bit too not logical at all or too sketchy, but in general the whole plot really do comes together. I can really see the hints that the author have been laying down. It's very reasonable to me, and also I find it really enjoyable because it's very easy to read. The writing style is very simple, direct, not heavy at all, so it's like truly solving a crime with a teenage girl. So I do enjoy it, and I love the ending. I find the ending very reasonable as well, and I enjoy the process of thinking with the main character together to solve who's the real murderer. Moving out to the books that I don't enjoy, but they are popular, but I got unpopular opinions about it. I hope I don't get hate about it, but the first book that I want to talk about is Iron Flames. I've read Fourth Wayne like last year, and I actually do enjoy it, so that's why I'm excited to read the second book, Iron Flames. So the first book I really do enjoy, don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy the fantasy world that the author has constructed in this book, and I love the elements about riders being able to like not partner, but they're being chosen by the dragons, and how the fighting scenes and everything, the kingdom, and also the ending of the first book really do makes me wanted to know more about this world, this fantasy world. And I do like the characters. I do like Satan and Violet's relationship, and I do like a slow burn enemies to lovers, and there are quite a lot of like unsolved problems mentioned in the first book, so that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna try the second book, and I thought I'm gonna like it, but it was such a huge disappointment for me personally, just for me. This was just my personal opinions, but I know a lot of people love this book, but I do want to say why I don't like it. So first of all, it's just the writing. It's so plain, so simple. The whole plot is dragged like crazy. Iron Flames is even thicker than the first book, I reckoned, but almost half of it doesn't has anything happening at all. So the whole book, for me, it's so bored for the most of the times, and I found the writing very shallow and there's nothing in-depth to it. And moving on to the characters, I feel like the characters kind of lost their chemistry compared with the first book. Violet used to be like a very strong, badass woman, but for the second book, I find her a bit annoying somehow because she has been saying the same thing over and over again, and the relationship with Satan doesn't really has a lot of process at all, and I don't see any chemistry between the couples anymore. So that was a bit hard for me to keep that going. And also when it comes to the dragons was my favorite part of the first book. I love the personality, I love the relationship that the dragons have with Violet. But then when it goes to the second book, the personality of the dragons simply just goes down, just like the main characters. Especially Tarrant was almost like a monotone character with no real personality at all. And I just don't enjoy the book at all. I feel like it was a bit boring, a bit unnecessary as well, regarding how thick it is. So I'm not sure will I continue to read the third book because I feel like it's just a total disappointment for me. But I know a lot of people enjoy it, so maybe it just doesn't work for me. But yeah, it was a bit like, it was such a disappointment for me because I just feel like it's just ruined the whole setting of the first book. Another book that I also read on Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy of it. Thank God that I don't have it. So it's called The Icebreaker. The famous book Icebreaker that I've been seeing online over and over again. People talk about the ice hockey squad all the time. I'm intrigued and I decided to read it and see how it goes. But first of all, I know that it was gonna be a spicy book. Personally, I don't really mind spicy books if it adds up to the plot or it adds up to the chemistry of the characters. I'm fine with it. But for this book, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So to sum up my opinion on this book, it's like, I feel like this book is trying so hard to have so much going on, but at the same time, there's nothing going on at all. So it's just pure repetitiveness and boredom for me. And also, the chemistry of the characters just doesn't work. I know it's more like enemies to lovers, but then the chemistry of the characters, like, there's none. And also, there are so many spicy chapters in this book, but then it doesn't make the characters' chemistry stronger, which is ridiculous for me. In my opinion, it was just, I get so bored about those spicy chapters and I just scroll over it. And also, there are so much info dumping for all the side characters, because I know the author is trying to make a series about a big friend groups and of course about the relationship within the friend groups. But then there are just so much side information added on to the book, so it makes the book even having no plot at all. It seems like so much is going on, but at the same time there's not like a very strong storyline within the couples. So I absolutely hate this book. I would say I just don't enjoy it. I feel like I'm just reading porn. No chemistry, but just a lot of intimacy, scenes and wordings. and it's just kind of annoying for me to read the spicy chapters over and over again, which doesn't really add up to the plot or even the chemistry of the characters. So that's a big no for me. Okay, the last book that I've read, I do believe I have the physical copy of it, but I couldn't find it anywhere in my room. So I will show the cover on the screen. So this book is called The Satsuma Complex. It's about the main character, Gary Thorne, goes for a pint of beer with his colleagues called Brendan. So when Brendan leaves early, Gary meets a girl in the pub. He doesn't catch her name but falls for her anyway. When she suddenly disappears without saying goodbye, all Gary has to remember her by is the book that she was reading, which is called The Satsuma Complex. But when Brendan goes missing, Gary needs to track down the girl he now calls Satsuma to get some answers. But so begins Gary's quest through the estates and pie shops of South London to finally bring some love and excitement into his unremarkable life. A page-turning story with a cast of unforgettable characters, The Satsuma Complex is a brilliant, funny first novel by best-selling author and comedian Bob Mortimer. I do find it refreshing to mix like a mystery, crime, and romantic elements in this novel, but it's just wasn't good enough. The plot itself is kind of like interesting, quite attractive, but then it just doesn't work. I guess it's because the book is so thin. There are a lot of ideas and storyline that are not well developed, and they just ruin the whole plot. It's just very shallow, everything. I don't feel the chemistry between the main characters and the girl, and I don't find the crime solving scene or elements very interesting at all. It just doesn't work at all, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's just a very plain book. It's not exactly romantic novels, not exactly a crime mystery novels at all, because it's just very plain, very simple plot that you could have guessed it right away. So I don't really enjoy it. That's it for the past 2 months book recap. I do enjoy it, even though there are some books that I don't really enjoy it. But in general, I feel like this is a good reading month for me. So if I have to rate out of all these books, I would say the one that I enjoy the most is Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. The second one is The Bee Sting, and then All the Lovers in the Night, followed by A Good Girl Guides to Murder, and then Iron Flames, Satsuma Complex, and then Icebreaker. So please let me know if you have any book recommendation, or whether have you read any of these books and what your opinions about it. And I hope you guys don't get offended for my unpopular opinions. So yeah, I'm looking forward to do another book review video for next reading recap, and I'll see ya. Bye.